Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I've been dancing to that song. My name is Phyllis Italiano. This is the Democratic View, and I'm the hostess. And today I have with me just my ideal woman, someone who I feel sometimes like I'm her mother, and sometimes I feel like I'm her daughter. Her name is Deb Klughers, and she is our wonderful Democratic trustee. And Debbie, welcome.
Thank you, Phyllis.
Yet one more time.
Thanks for having me on again. I enjoy being on your show.
Well, I have you on because I know you are really at the forefront of everything that is environmentally important.
I try.
From the Easter egg hunt where you provided us, the Democrats, with environmentally safe plastic eggs. And that was really a great thing to have happened.
Let me just verify plastic. So plastic is a molded polymer. So plastic doesn't have to be made from a petrochemical. The plastic eggs that we brought, they were called eco eggs, and they were made from corn, and they were 100% corn-based, no petrochemicals, and they're biodegradable. And they were made by a mom who saw a need to not, people have these Easter egg hunts with factory-farmed chicken eggs, which in and of itself isn't the greatest thing, but those eggs often go to waste. People aren't going to pick them up off the ground and then feed them to their family. So, I kind of killed two birds with one stone, so to speak, and that, nothing went to waste, and it was just a more environmentally friendly way to go, and I think the kids had a good time, right? You filled them all with candy, and they were nice, big, colorful eggs, and we got 1,000 of them for less than the cost of conventional eggs. So I think it was, and I thank the Democratic Committee for changing a tradition. What, a 20-something year tradition, and you guys kind of said no to me last year, but this year you went with it, so I think it's wonderful.
Life is about change, and changing where we were is the most important thing that we have in front of us, because we all know what's happened lately in this world, and if you didn't know and you live out here, just look to that ocean and see how massive it is and know what we have facing us. And so tell me about some of the things you've been doing lately also on your own. I know there was some projects with cleaning up some of the beaches, the litter committee.
Trustee, what do you want to hear about? Litter committee, trustee?
I'd like to, let's start with the litter committee.
Okay, so a couple months ago, I'm the chair of the East Hampton Town Litter Committee. We brought the committee back after years of it being disbanded, kind of, in limbo. So I've got a great group of volunteers, and we meet second Thursday of every month, 3:30, Town Board Meeting Room. The whole community is invited to come attend. We always like input and advice and suggestions. And so back in, I think, December, we talked about Earth Day. And, everyone threw around, cleanup. So I'm like, no, I don't want to do a cleanup. I want to do something lasting, something that is meaningful. And I said, let's plant something. And we are sitting in the beautiful town hall complex as we're discussing it. And, the ideas just started flowing, and we decided to do historic native plantings around town hall. And just to fast forward to today, right now we've got a beautiful garden. Now, I have to say daffodils are not native, but yet they are pretty much historic. But the biggest reason why we chose those is because they're totally deer resistant.
Yes,
they are one of the first bloomers in spring.
Yeah.
And also I was able to have them all donated by MDK Horticulture from the North Fork, a nice, very nice company. Donated all the flowers and planting them. So we've got that bed in. The second one is going to be lavender. And that was also Matt Daly from MDK, he has it ready for us to plant. We're just waiting for the weather to warm up. And coming next week, we've got another donation of a whole variety of native flowers and flowering grasses, and that's going to go in. Now I'm spilling the beans because no one knows. My litter committee doesn't know. I wanted to surprise them because they're going to be kids. The Earth Savers are coming to plant during our litter committee meeting on Thursday. So if this airs before then, surprise!
So what do you mean your Earth Savers?
Well, they're Earth Savers. They're from, I think it's the Group for the East End has a group of kids that I know it's Anita from the Group for the East End, and I think they're affiliated. The Earth Savers are a group of children that they just planted some beach grass down at Lost Point. So they're just Earth Savers. They're saving the planet. They're fourth graders.
What a wonderful.
I know. I can't wait to see them and, and thank them. So I hope they'll come into the meeting and, so that's what we're doing with the litter committee amongst all the, we've got such great ideas, but, it's hard to implement some things, but, there's change coming up in the new year that maybe some of our ideas will get implemented. So.
I wish you would give me a list of some of those native plants because I want to include more native plants.
I could tell you salvia, I don't know if it's native or not, but it's beautiful. It's great for bees. And the deer don't touch it. They bloom from spring to well into the fall. And I planted, bees don't see red, so I planted purple salvia. Beautiful. Bumblebees all rolling in it. They're adorable. So yeah, I'll give you a list.
Yeah, because
I put a blog on Patch, and it's got a whole list of different native plants for bees, basically. But yeah.
Well, I know what bees like because I'm always reading about bees,
Good.
which is another one of your interests.
It is.
You want to talk a little bit about bees right now?
Sure. Well, yesterday, it's a timely subject. I got a phone call. I was shopping in the village, and a young man called. Well, he called, but I couldn't talk, so he texted me that he's never seen anything like it. The bees are swarming. So he was working, and where he works, the woman has a beehive. So the bees had swarmed, and he was very excited to see this event because it's amazing. When you see 30,000 honeybees buzzing through the air, and they don't fly far when they swarm, because what's happening is they're not happy where they're not happy in their homes. Something's wrong. They're overcrowded. The queen is not good. Maybe there's some mouse in there, or something's going on that they're not happy, so they're leaving. So the queen says to all the girls, because most honeybees are girls, so it's a female society for the most part.
At last!
Yeah, it says to them, and that's why they're so successful. Sorry, guys. The queen says to all the ladies, because the boys can't do anything anyway, even if she told the boys, come on, do this, do that, they can't do anything.
They're called drones.
Yeah, they are. So she says to all the girls, take half the honey, half of you come with me, the other half stay, because they leave behind brood, which is unhatched honeybees. So she says to her girls, come on, we're out of here, we're going to find a new home. And because they're laden down with so much honey, they can't fly far. So they only flew maybe 100 feet from their hive on the ground up into a tree. And what happens is then they send out scouts, and they look and they look and they look, and they find a place to go live. And now the two guys that I was working with catching the swarm yesterday, and they were funny because they've never done anything like it. And I was giggling on the inside because they were a little nervous, rightly so. When there's 50,000 honeybees, I'm like, oh, don't worry about it, they're fine. And they got their things on, like, aren't you gonna? I got my flip flops on. They're like, aren't you gonna? I'm like, they're not gonna bother you. But anyway, so. One of the questions was, well, can we just leave them? I'm like, well, if we leave them, they're going to find a home, and it's probably going to be in your neighbor's wall, and they're going to end up getting exterminated. So no, it's not, and honeybees are in decline across the planet. 2012 was the worst year ever for honeybee population decline. So I'm like, no, we're gonna catch them. So I was the leader in this little swarm catching day. And we ended up catching the swarm, and we have it on video. It's on YouTube. I don't know the link because one of the young men were filming it. But so that was a couple hours that I spent yesterday catching a swarm with these two young men, and it was fun, and they learned a lot. They had a lot of fun, and I was proud of them because I'm like, look at you. You did something like none of your friends have probably ever done or even heard of. And it was a giant swarm that we caught. I mean, it was a nice, healthy swarm. So we put it in a new home. Luckily, that this woman had extra bee supplies, and now she's got two, and it's interesting. Yeah, that was yesterday, but I do keep.
Yeah, I sometimes wonder about those of us who live in this country who are so unaware of the natural order of life in this world.
It's hard to know all that kind of stuff.
Well,
but
I mean,
bee
it
supply,
seems to me that people ought to realize how important bees are.
They're a $15 billion U.S. industry. That's the value of honeybees to U.S. agriculture. So they are not only environmentally important, they're economically important. And if honeybees go away, how will we pollinate our crops? I mean, that is the question. And they supply 1 out of 3 every mouthful of food that you eat, and
yes.
It's 8 out of 10 of the most, 8 out of 10 of the crops that we all eat require pollination by honeybees. So, and including cows, they eat grain, hopefully, that's been pollinated by honeybees. So, no matter what you eat.
Yes.
You better thank the bees. And I have to tell you, so the world decline of honeybees is a lot of problems. There's, whether it's malnutrition, there's disease, there's pathogens, but there's also pesticides. And the biggest pesticide problem that we're seeing is something called a neonicotinoid, and it's a systemic pesticide that they just sprinkle a little dust on the seed, and that little bit of dust is extremely toxic to honeybees. So if that doesn't kill them, this dust that ends up, as they plant the seeds, the dust goes everywhere. But that seed has the pesticide inside of it forever, and that's why it's called systemic. So it grows, the plant grows with the pesticide inside of it. So no matter what, the bee gets the pollen, the bee gets the nectar, the bee lands on it, they're being exposed. Now, there's a few amount of cloprid is found in our groundwater in great quantities here on Long Island, and it's only been introduced 5 years after its introduction. These are new, brand new fangled, modern day pesticides. Only 5 years after the introduction, it was found in our groundwater. So it's highly mobile and highly persistent in our groundwater. But here's the thing, which is why I'm going through all this. 2 years ago, Italy banned neonicotinoids. The bee population has drastically increased over this past year. The European Union, just this week, banned neonicotinoids. Now, I'm bringing this up because you say Americans are unaware. There's other pesticides, atrazine, that's been banned in Europe since 2004. It's one of our favorite chemicals next to these neonicotinoids. So it's like it boggles my mind that we're America and we are like the country, but yet we're so behind in so many things. And,
Well,
it's
called the corporations.
Yeah, totally.
They don't have Monsanto and...
Oh, no, they do have Monsanto. I like to call them Monsatan, by the way. They do have Monsanto, and they are global, and they are dangerous.
Well, I actually did email you that Bill Moyer's on his show one time
Had a-
spent about
Yeah, you
15
told me.
minutes talking
Yeah.
about the decline of
Yep.
bees and
I
the
have a lot of
growth,
people that email me things, and it's really nice.
growth of, you know, of the chemicals that we have in our food all the time. I mean, it's amazing. You know, I mean, babies are born and tested, and their bodies are full of chemicals
Oh, yeah.
before they've even lived.
Yes, they are.
And we don't even know the results of long-term results because we've never done the double-blind studies.
Our younger generation is a genetic experiment, in my opinion. When you have genetically modified foods and all these pesticides and you know, bisphenol A and all these things in the plastics and phthalates and oh my goodness, yeah.
Well,
Very depressing. But I'll tell you something I did with the children to have them become more aware. So I work with this new not-for-profit called Peconic Institute. And it's a environmental not-for-profit promoting sustainability, resiliency, anything from energy efficiency and alternative energies, right down to agriculture, and we do research and learning development and stuff like that. So I brought into 14 schools across the east end of Long Island through Cornell University. I brought in a program called Agriculture Literacy Week. And each year, this Cornell has a different theme. This year's theme was honeybees. So we went into the classrooms. I had a bunch of volunteer readers. Lena from LTV, she was one of the readers. She went to the Wainscott School. And I think I read at 2 or 3 or 4 schools, something like that. And we read to over 800 children, and we read a book about honeybees. And all of my readers were really well informed. They did a little bit of studying. I found out later because the kids had so many questions. So we read the book to the children. We gave them some honey sticks, and we gave the book to the local schools. So these kids here in Suffolk County, I think it's 1 in 5 will be involved in agriculture because it is the largest by dollar industry in New York State. Is Suffolk County agriculture is the largest in the state of agriculture. And we've got the smallest amount of land, but it produces the largest amount of money. So we've got a good agriculture community here. So the kids learned about honeybees, and they were just so cute. It was like we taught 3 years old through 4th grade, and they were so
That's
adorable.
the time to get them when they are young.
Well, they were and they just loved it. And, you know, we did a whole little thing and, you know, showed them all the bee tools. And, you know, they were just cute. They were really, really, it was like a gift to me to be able to go and read, because my kids are all grown up, but these little kids, they were adorable.
I know that they're my life. I
You
spent
have
my life in
grandchildren?
elementary school.
Oh, okay.
And
That's
I
right.
love it. I absolutely love it, you know.
One of my children are studying to become a teacher. She's
Good.
excited.
Good.
Yeah.
As one of mine is a teacher.
Aw.
So let's go on to some other things that you have been doing. I know you were involved in some of the cleanups that went around in the beach areas and things
Sure.
like that. I know you were telling us about how much you collected.
Right. So I'm an East Hampton town trustee. I think you said that earlier. And my fellow trustee and I, Nat Miller, we saw the need for some beach cleanup. So we targeted Louse Point and Lazy Point. And I also have this dumpster out in Montauk, the Fishing for Energy program. That's a NOAA
Yes, you can see
project.
that on our website. It's still on the website,
good.
Fishing for Energy.
Oh, good. EHDEMS.com.
Yes.
Okay.
Or .org, either one.
Oh, okay. So Nat did a really good job of getting the word out to the public, and you know, we put out public notice, and I was contacting different people to help us, and you know, organizing and that kind of thing. And the town board agreed to waive the fees, and good thing, because we collected almost 20,000 pounds of debris from those 2 beaches, about 5,800 pounds from Louse Point, and the rest, over 13,000 pounds from Lazy Point. We're not done. I mean, there's still more to do. So, I mean, it's amazing. And we did another beach cleanup that I organized back in, it was International Coastal Cleanup Day back in last year. So, yeah, you'll probably for sure see more beach cleanups. And, you know, people, I would hope, would just, every time you go to the beach, take something off with you, because you're going to find stuff, you know. And, yeah, so with the litter committee, that reminds me.
I do, Debbie. I do
know
all
you
the time.
Everyone should. You know, and it's not that we're all littering, it's that it's all being washed up from
Some of it
decades
is washed up, and some of it is
some of it
by-
is littering.
left by people.
Yeah, so with the litter committee, we're writing a bunch of PSAs, public service announcements that will be aired on LNG all summer long, and you'll hear PSAs on cigarette butts, dog poop, beach fires, electronic recycling, basic recycling, you know, like what the town accepts, where to go, what to do.
Oh,
I've written a
love to
whole
hear
bunch
that.
of them. Yeah, so we're going to have kids, again, come to the radio station, you know, always involving those children because, first of all, they're adorable, and they're just cute as can be, and they feel powerful by, you know, I went to the radio station, and I did this PSA on recycling, you know, and it's just, you know, and to hear that child's voice telling us grown-ups who know, you know, we're the ones who're supposed to know everything, you know, to help us, you know, not leave cigarette butts around. I mean, cigarette butts are that's what made me think of it on a beach. The biggest form of marine debris on the planet globally is smoking-related items. So all the smokers that think it's not a big deal and they flick a cigarette, you know, but they're flicking 20 a day, you know, times 365 days a year, you know, and that stuff is made out of this acetate that never, well, maybe after, I don't know how long, 50 years or whatever, you know,
If
and
it's plastic-related, it's
it
400
is plastic.
years.
Okay, it could be 400, it could be, who knows, it never.
Yes.
So, yeah, so litter committee is doing a lot of things, and I'm working with the Peconic Institute. I'm a trustee. I think I do, I'm a beekeeper. What else do I do?
Well, I also wanted to talk with you a little bit about the water, because I had Bob DeLuca here last week with the
He's
group from
great.
the East End, and you know, I always have to tell people something that you did teach me, really, which is that the water that we have,
Our
potable
groundwater?
water,
Okay.
is the new,
Contaminated.
well, besides being contaminated, it's also the oil of the future.
Yes,
It's more, it will
absolutely.
be the most valuable thing as we go further and further into global warming.
And it is already in certain areas of the world, and you know, unfortunately, in poverty-stricken areas, you know, water, clean water is, you know, I have a friend, his name is Nathan, and he was telling me that he went off to, I think it was Africa, and he always brought chocolates for the children. And he had his water with him, his little water jar, because it's in Africa, and, you know, and the children were not interested in the chocolates, they were interested in the water, because they've never really had or seen this clear water in a, you know, so, and, you know, he tells me that story, and it's really powerful to think, you know, what little kid wants water over chocolate? But, you know, so I have to tell you, so we have over 117 pesticide-related chemicals in our groundwater, and today, and this has been determined through the DEC, through the county, and I think USGS, and they've done these studies since '97, and so the DEC came out with their Long Island Pesticide Pollution Prevention Plan, and they had this out, and I, you know, had made a number of people aware that they were holding a public hearing on this issue. And as a trustee, I wrote, the trustees agreed that I could write a letter to the DEC from the trustees. And of course, the whole board looked at the letter, it was approved, and we sent it off to the DEC for a public comment.
You mean the town board?
The
Or-
trustee board.
trustee
the board
board,
of
okay.
trustees.
I'll say, what would the
Sorry.
town board
Yeah,
be
no,
involved
no,
in that?
no. I mean, they could have made a similar statement, but they chose not to. So the thing is that just like the nitrogen that everyone's becoming aware that seeps from the groundwater into our surface waters, which are our bays and our harbors, what's in the groundwater not only is nitrogen, but there's 117 pesticide-related chemicals, there's personal care products, shampoos, and there's pharmaceutics and caffeine, and there's volatile organic compound. There's all this stuff in our groundwater. So being that the DEC is focusing on their pesticide plan, you know, I wrote that, you know, when and if this stuff reaches our water bodies, that's what the trustees are charged with protecting. How can we do our job to protect our water bodies if the DEC doesn't do theirs first? So we kind of asked for action because their plan is more studies. They've already studied for 10 years. So their plan is more studies and more discussions, which is, I guess it's good because talk is good, but talk is also cheap. And when you're dealing with groundwater, you know, I mean, this is, without water, like, you know, we talk about sustainable Long Island and all these kind of things. and you could do all you want to make everything better and have, alternative energy and, organic food. But without water, good luck bringing it in to 3 million people in, Long Island. So, yeah, I'm passionate about groundwater.
Yeah. Well, so am I. I mean, I want to be able to turn on that faucet and know that I have water that's going to be, not going to kill me in the long run.
Yeah, and that's the thing, the interactions among chemicals. So one chemical might not be so bad in this one, but I know that the neonicotinoids, when you mix it with a certain fungicide, it makes the neonic 1,000 times more potent, more toxic to honeybees. I don't know what it's doing to us because we don't have those studies. And that's the other thing. The remediation of groundwater is so cost prohibitive and time consuming that once it's declared undrinkable, I mean, good luck getting the money in this fiscal crisis that we're in to remediate our groundwater. So, I mean, it's something that, again, people are not like aware of the whole picture and how, you turn on your tap, you got your water, you flush your toilet, and it's all gone. But where's it going and where's it coming from? I mean, that's the question.
You really rule my life. Every time I turn the
I'm
water
very powerful,
on, I
Phyllis.
make sure I don't run it because of you. I say, I brush my teeth.
Yeah,
I shut that water off.
Yeah, because, some people don't have any water.
And I say, and I recycle everything there is to recycle because I know that you're looking over my shoulder.
No, I'm not. I am not the UN operative that some people think I am, just so you know.
No,
I am
darling.
not looking over your
Listen,
shoulder.
I am grateful.
I'm not controlling your life or taking away your rights.
But I am grateful that you are such a voice because you do remind people that there is only one earth. And if we don't take care of it, and if we don't guard it and protect it, what will we have?
Well, I have this little saying I made up. And it's really local, but it's that it's not your grandfather's East Hampton, it's your children's East Hampton.
That's a very good way of looking at it.
So it's like, what will we have? Well, we're gone. Not so, in the future, but what are we leaving your grandkids? My future grandchildren.
And it's also, I mean, I love when that turtle comes walking out of the woods and the kids get so excited and, that it can live in the woods. It thrills me, absolutely thrills me that they have this ability to.
Good thing we have woods.
We see, well, I have woods around me.
Yes.
Do I ever? Yeah. But it is very important to make sure that we continue with this kind of environment that is safe.
It's just public knowledge, like the public knowing, and it's hard because, people are busy. They're living and they're doing, and, they don't. So I guess it's, I don't really know what the answers are besides just knowledge, I guess, and knowledge is power,
The
right?
answer is education.
Yeah.
That's what we have to keep doing. We have to keep educating people about reduce,
and people also
reuse,
need to understand.
Recycle.
Yeah, it's like, it's not about just you and your friends, it's about the community. It's not just about a small group of people, it's about everybody. And it's like, if we could understand that, it goes beyond our backyard. It goes, what we do in our backyard affects other people.
Well, there are a couple of things that I think we really need to see. We need to see East Hampton take some steps that would somehow or other give us some kind of a write-off if we work on our septic systems. And also, we have to encourage people to get solar panels as well.
They're so expensive, though. That's the problem.
I'm going to get them.
Both remedies.
I'm going to get
Both remedies to our problems, denitrifying. New septics are good, I guess, but it's still the same old technology that the nitrogen will, maybe it's less depending on the system, whatever, but we need to denitrify because that's the issue.
Thank you, Debbie. We're over.
Thanks, Phyllis. Man,